Hello again. Okay, so now I'm gonna talk about potential languages. Well, I added a lot of languages to my list, but they are potential languages, so languages for the future that I might study or might not. So the thing is, today I've been a little bit distracted lately, and today I was making a list of all the resources that I have for or that I intend to use to study Mandarin Chinese, and there are quite a lot. So I realized that if I want to learn that language properly, same as other languages that I want to learn properly, I will have to study much harder, maybe 1 hour and a half of Chinese, 5 days a week instead of 1 hour, and so it will be much harder to study more languages at the same time. So the thing is about potential languages. Make sure you have a list of the languages that you want to learn and the languages that you really want to learn. So I really want to learn Swedish. I really want to learn Finnish. I really want to learn Arabic, Mandarin Chinese, Japanese, Thai, Russian, Hindi, and so there are a lot of languages. There are a lot of languages that I really want to learn. And then there are other languages that I want to learn too, and I want to learn like on intermediate level, somewhat at low intermediate, like Georgian, uh, Cambodian, Armenian, Burmese, something like that, but like on an intermediate, low intermediate, intermediate level. And then there are languages, so all of these languages, the ones that I want to learn really well and the ones on intermediate, low intermediate, intermediate, and upper intermediate level are the ones that I really want to learn and that I really intend to learn. And then in the future, I might study several other languages. So the thing is, if you are making a list of languages that you intend to study in the future, so potential languages, first of all, make sure that your goal is low intermediate, not even intermediate level, low intermediate. Low intermediate at its most intermediate, but if you wanna have more, let's say, more specific goals and more realistic goals, make sure that your goal for those languages is low intermediate and use one course or two courses at its most. So I'm gonna talk about some languages that I added to my list as potential languages. So languages for the future. I might or might not dabble in before that, and I might or might not study them. I intend to. Let's see. My goal is low intermediate. So languages like, for instance, Lao. Oh, and since I mentioned Lao, the thing is, make sure that if you want to learn a language like Lao, I want to learn Lao, okay, at a low intermediate level. But first of all, I will never study Lao before I have studied and I have mastered Thai. So I might learn a little bit of Lao, but never before I have learned Thai. And there are other languages in here that I can say, I can tell you guys too. For instance, I want to learn a little bit of Scottish Gaelic. I want to learn Scottish Gaelic and Welsh, but not before I learn Irish. So first I will learn Irish. The only exception here is Punjabi, because I know I know a restaurant here. Those guys are from Pakistan. They speak Punjabi. I know them, so I have two courses: Teach Yourself and Colloquial for Punjabi, and that language I intend to learn at an intermediate level, and I intend to study that language maybe even this year or next year. That's the only exception. But then let's see, Bulgarian, low intermediate for Bulgarian, and I believe I will not study Bulgarian before I've studied Russian, for instance, and even Ukrainian. Russian, Polish, Czech, much before Bulgarian, for instance. Because for those languages, I would like to reach at least a low intermediate, an upper intermediate level. So Russian, Polish, Czech. So Bulgarian and Ukrainian much later. And then Kazakh, I will never study Kazakh before I study and master Turkish. So that's what I say, guys. You might want to study some languages in the future. You might or not. But if you do, make sure that you focus on the language that you really want to learn first. And then I'm going to give you some more examples for you guys. I want to learn Tamil. And now I believe I want to learn some Gujarati too. In the future, some Gujarati and some Bengali, low intermediate level. So colloquial Bengali, and I believe it is teach yourself for Gujarati. That's it. I might study or not, that I intend to, but only in the future. Never before I have studied and mastered Hindi, because I really want to learn Hindi. I will not even learn Tamil before I have mastered, mastered Hindi. And Faroese, for instance, I might study a little bit of Faroese, but I will not study one single word of Faroese before I studied Icelandic at the low intermediate to intermediate level. And let's see what else can I say? Can I tell you guys here? Okay, African languages. I had a lot of African languages. Some of them I might study, some of them I might not. For instance, languages like Fula and Lingala, I believe it's worth studying. It's worth studying Fula, it's worth studying Lingala. I'm not so sure about other languages like Chinyanja, Kituba, Kirundi. I'm not so sure about those languages. Oromo, I'm not so sure about those languages. That's why I call them potential languages. But Fula and Lingala, I believe that it's worth studying. But I will never study this. I will only study this after I've studied my favorite African languages, which are Swahili, Wolof, and Yoruba. So far, I've only studied a very little bit, just a little bit of Swahili and a little bit of Wolof. Only a few words in Yoruba. So those languages first, and then I might study or not after, or depends. Lingala and Fula are interesting languages, I believe. But there are other African languages on my list that were there before, such as Zulu, Xhosa, Kiosa, I don't know how to pronounce that, Shona. So those languages, it's possible that I studied them before I study this. And so that's it. So the thing is, make sure that you make a list of the languages that you want to learn, and then the potential languages, the ones similar or belonging to the same family or whatsoever. Let's see, we're talking about African languages. No, not the same family, but you're talking about African languages. Make sure you study your favorite African languages first. If you're talking about Asian languages, tonal or not tonal, non-tonal, but hard, difficult languages. So make sure you study, for instance, make sure you study Mandarin and Japanese, and then you leave Cantonese for later. And if you're talking about languages from India, make sure you study Hindi first, and then Tamil, and only then will you study Gujarati and stuff like that. So this is what I wanted to say. See you guys then.